Hey, welcome everybody. Iggy here, the mind of Iggy. Just want to stop by real quick and just share with you a little bit, some thoughts in my mind. There's a lot going on in the world right now. There's a lot of things happening, a lot of things that we can control, and a lot of things that we can't control. And the things that we can't control is obviously colonization, imperialism, and 1492 has never really left. And the illusion is that we think because we are here now and we occupy these lands that things have just changed. But I'm here to tell you something. Russia invading Ukraine, quite frankly, that is called imperialism. That is called the Empire Strikes Back. That's called let's take your land, let's rape your kids, your children, and your women, and let's take the land, let's take your oil. That's called colonization. That's called invasion. That's called a virus. We went from one virus topic into another virus topic. Now we're viral. The Russians are viral. The Americans have been viral. We've gone to Iraq. We've been the viral stem evil creature, taking over. But you know what? 1492 never went away. 1492 never went away. We just put a bunch of people on a bunch of reservations and lands. And now the Russians are going over and doing similar activities. They're going to another country. We talk about, standing up for people's rights and beliefs and talking about, when Hitler was doing his shenanigans, everybody just watched and everybody just went, oh, well, it's not my problem. I'm not going to get involved because you know what? I don't want to send around president. But, this is the problem. Sometimes we don't want to get involved and sometimes we don't want to say things because we just don't want to be involved. But I get that. But then we are all crying later on that we didn't get involved, that we should have got involved sooner, that we should have done something. I'm here to tell you something. These sanctions, they think is going to work. We're just fooling ourselves, man. Now, I'm not saying we have to go in and barrage and start a war, but you know what? What would you have done differently if you knew how the outcome of a series of events would have played out in the future? If you had the knowledge and you had, the information and you had the opportunity to squelch shit completely and you didn't. And you said, hey, I'm going to do it. But right now, imperialism is huge. Colonization is huge. We're going around. You don't have to conquer people with weaponry. You can conquer people with your McDonald's, with your Kentucky Fried Chickens, and your Starbucks, and all these ideologies, with your Microsofts and stuff. Colonization hasn't stopped. It has never ended. For indigenous people who live in these lands in South America, North America, Central America, all over the world, indigenous people have suffered, have had to fight off invaders, people who had more money and had only one thing in mind: money, greed, power, and control of a region so they can have access to the trade routes. And so they can have access to what they're going to sell to their partners in trade. Nothing's changed. Everything's the same. It's just different players now, different groups, different people. The Russians, the Chinese, the Americans, you name it. The Saudi Arabians, they're all the same. We are no different. We just look different. We sound different. We come from different cultures and backgrounds, but we're all doing the same exact thing to each other, screwing each other each way around the best way we can. We go into different countries and we take it from there. England, big conqueror. They went all over the world. They went to India. They went all over the place, and they established colonies. Okay, so you know what? And then they wonder why these people fought and why these people, created freedom fighters and rebellions for that. Why? Because you know what? They were invaders. They were viruses. They were trying to take something that didn't belong to them because they had the power and they had the machinery. They had the will, to do it, and they were going to do it. And they didn't care how many people died. See, that's the thing. They didn't care how many people died on either side of their line or their line. It was just a matter of control and imperialism and controlling that. So Russia's the same way. The United States is the same way. Don't think that our country, our pure little Puritan country here, that we're so nice. Because if we were based on Christian foundations and we're based on the ideology that, we do the right thing, then we wouldn't, number one, we would never bomb Hiroshima and killed all Nagasaki and killed all those people. Because Christians don't do that. Christians don't do that. But hey, we got to stop a war, right? But this is the thing. We get caught in all these ideologies and all these belief systems, and then we pardon ourselves and forgive ourselves. because it's okay. God wants this. This is what God doesn't want war. God doesn't want us to go kill people. I don't know what God people are praying to, and I really don't want to pray to that God, because the God that I want to pray to is one who's loving and shows us and has given us everything that's in front of us to, to be and to have. We have air, we have the wind, we have the nature, we have the natural resources right in front of us. But man is corrupt. Man is here to absolve and destroy and take and manipulate anything that they possibly can in order for the next generation to survive. This is all about generational survival. Most people in most countries, for example, Russia, they want to survive and they want the next generation to survive. And the only way they're going to survive if they have natural resources, because we're dependent on natural resources. We're dependent on fossil fuels. I keep saying that. And a lot of you here are going, well, we're lucky that we're only paying $4 a gallon, other people are suffering in the world. You know what? Crap, that's bullshit, man. I've never heard anybody so stupid to say something like that, that we're lucky. No, we're not lucky. We're dumb because we sit here and we just absorb it and go and we play that stupid game that, there's nothing wrong in the world. And there is a lot going on in the world. There's some things going on the Russian side that we don't understand. And I'm not here to defend Russia. I'm not here to say the Russians are right. I'm not here to say that the Ukrainians are evil. But I'm going to say one thing. Innocent people are getting killed. That's the problem. That's where it doesn't matter. Because they want to reunify and create the Soviet Union again. And you have to ask yourself why. Manifest destiny here in the United States, if you remember in your history books, was to go out west, son, and claim all that you can. Take it from Mexico. Because that wasn't our lands. But we took it. We took it, and our armies followed right behind to protect those settlers. Now, I'm not poo-pooing here against the United States. No, that's not my point. My point is colonization never stopped. It never ended. It never will end. Colonizers never stop doing their agenda and their work. They just call it something else, and they don't want you to see it. Okay? They stifle the indigenous people when they tell people, well, that's in the past, that's history, that's my ancestors. Those were people I don't even know, because that's what they teach you. That's the brainwashing right there. You know what? When you know that there's wrong done, wrong is done, period. Wrong is done. And we're here now. How do we get better now? See, that's the problem. We don't know how to ask the right questions. We're all here about canceling cultures. We're all talking about being woke and all this. But you know what? We don't talk about what happened to the indigenous people. Oh, no, but that was in the past. That happened a long time ago. No, my friends, it's happening right now in Ukraine. There are people who are indigenous to Ukraine who are getting slaughtered and killed because, you know what? Somebody wants their stuff. In the same way here, somebody wanted their stuff here. And you know what? And don't think that this can't happen here, and don't think that this can't happen anywhere else. If it happens like that, and we're sitting here going, oh, well, we don't want to cause a war. We don't want to get nuclearized, God forbid that when someone drops a nuclear bomb. But you know what? Our destruction is our own creation. We destroy ourselves because of what we've created. And that's where we're at right now. We're in this mess because we created it. Can we fix it? If we want to fix it, absolutely. But when we put people on pieces and parchments of land and call them reservations, and hey, this is for you, and you don't acknowledge them for who they are in the treaties and all the work that's been done, because we don't want them to get better. Oh, but they need to assimilate, Iggy. They have to become. No, they don't. No one needs to assimilate to anybody, because that's colonization. When you want people to assimilate to you, when you want people to become like you, that's assimilation. That's colonization. Okay, indigenous people, Native American people of all over the world, not just in this country, should never have to compromise their cultures, their beliefs, their indigenous ways because somebody else doesn't like it, because somebody else is in power. But that's what happened in this country. You go to Wounded Knee is just one example of many things. But many people don't think like that because everybody thinks it was my ancestors. It's not me. I wouldn't do that. Just the sheer fact that we don't acknowledge that we did that. I'm not asking you to appropriate someone's culture and learn it and do their ceremonies. No, I'm saying allow them to do their thing. Allow them to be who they are. Acknowledge them. Help them. The way that we screwed them, we should help them the best way we can so they can get back on their feet. There should be a strong indigenous culture in this country. There should be a presence so strong in Washington, in every state level, but there's not. It's not. It's all white European or black. You don't see a lot of indigenous people anymore, who are in power. Yeah, oh yeah, well, Biden put somebody in, what? on his administration. But you know, that's just one of a gazillion people. But that's a start, maybe. But the point is this: we have to understand that colonization never died. It never stopped. It never will. You know, it will never go away, because you know what? It will never go away because those who are in power and those who have the mechanics behind it to move and to dominate another species, another human, another race, another culture, they will always do it. They may not do it with invasions and weaponry, but they will do it through schooling, through education, through foundation, through foods, through resources and stuff. So when you are powerless to the sense of where you can't protect yourself and you can't go into that place where you can honor who you are as a human being and from your culture standpoint and basis, because somebody else is projecting onto you and forcing you to be and to do and be that way. You know, some people say, well, we lost the war. But you know what? The Native Americans, okay, the Lakotas were one of the only, if not the only people who actually defeated an American army brigade here on these lands. Totally different. Custer got his ass kicked, okay, by the indigenous people here. All right, so I'm not trying to start a war. I'm not trying to start a battle. I'm not trying to start anything here, but I'm just trying to say imperialism never died. Imperialism never will, because we allow it to stay, because we're comfy and we're cozy in our little homes and with the things that we have. You know, we want $4. If we don't want gas for $4, then we need to say something about it, and we really need to be very vocal about it. But since we don't really care, because we pretty much just do what we do, and we continue moving through life like we do, they could charge us $8 and we'd pay for it, because that's just how stupid we are. I hate to say that word, but we are very stupid, because we allow our politicians to become, you know, career politicians versus the people being in office. You know, like they used to be back in the 1800s, you know, people would work their farms. They go to Congress, they go back to their farms, they'd work. But now everybody's a career politician, making multi-millions, if not billions of dollars off our backs, off our hard work, tax-paying money. You know, when we pay taxes and when we invest in our country, in which we should, you know, and now we're seeing that by outsourcing everything, it's going to have a grand effect on how the world is going to be rotating. The world right now, because we didn't invest in our own culture, in our own beliefs, in our own system, in our own United States of America, now the things that we're dependent on are costing us more. The things that we need, the things that we want, the things that we should have naturally because we already have them, because we want to have trade embargoes and trade agreements with all these countries so we can have, you know, unilateral or, you know, bilateral, you know, friendships and connections so we won't go to war. But here, the Ukrainian people suffering. That's colonization, my friends. That's imperialism. That is called The Empire Strikes Back. If you need a movie reference, that is called, I'm going to take what's not mine and I'm going to make it mine. Because you know what? You don't deserve it, because you're a puny squiddy and you can't take care of yourself. And that's kind of what the United States did too. We went into Iraq. We went to a country that was never going to ever going to be able to fight us in no way, no capacity, and beat us, because we have the weaponry. And you know, this is what imperialists do. This is what capitalists do. This is what communists do. This is what socialists do. They pick on the small person. They pick on the small individual, because the small individual can't fight. And this is why you have to be very careful when you give away rights, especially in this country. In other countries, I can't speak for this country. But if you want your guns, then protect your gun rights. Because I guarantee you, when the politicians are more afraid of you, because when you're armed, they can't guess what you're going to do. But if you have nothing to protect yourself with, they can do anything to you. History has proven that. I'm not making things up here. You guys know exactly what I'm talking about. Now, the Native American people here slaughtered, killed, but a lot of it was through disease. This is planned stuff. So we went from one pandemic, and now we're going into another pandemic, which is us, the virus. We are the true virus that we should be worried about, not COVID-19. COVID-19 is one thing, yes, and it's not over, friends. It's in the background. They threw it back there because they want you to worry about this now. They want you to worry about this virus. But how do we handle the human virus? How do we handle us, the humanity, the Russian, the American virus, you know, and because we all want to put our claws all over the world. We want to put all our stamps. We want to put all our belief systems all over the world. America wants to westernize, the communists. The communists want to do away with what, that never stopped. There was a moment where we came to an agreement, and you know what, it was nice, but you know what? What happens is eventually one side goes, well, hey, listen, we're giving too much. Because once you start giving, someone's going to lose. And, United States don't want to lose. Russia don't want to lose. Nobody wants to lose. But the only people in any war, in any kind of thing, is the civilian population always loses, period. Doesn't matter if you're good or bad, the civilian population will always lose. I can't even imagine how many people died in Iraq. It would have to be millions of people, innocent people, that we don't even care about, that we don't even think about, because we think about them in a negative connotation because what they did to us here, and now how they attacked, 9/11 attacked us, And so we put out of our mind our psychology and our mental capacity, and we label people a certain way. And now the Ukrainian people, we label them in a certain way that they're innocent, and for some reason, because they're, quite frankly, quite relatable. They look more white than most of the people who are from Iraq. So you have a relatability issue there. And this has been proven. This has been talked about on talk shows. This has been talked about here on Facebook. People have posted all kinds of propaganda about it, that, the reason that we care about Ukraine is because they're more white than the other ones, and we give them more benefit to become refugees, and we accept them because, oh, yes, bring them in because, they're Christians and blah, 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 Don't fool yourself when, if you think that, this doesn't happen. And I'm not saying that we haven't, or other countries haven't taken in refugees from Iraq or from Yemen or from other countries where there's war-torn areas. But, there is a huge difference. I've never really seen anybody say, let's help the Kurds, let's have a concert for the Kurds, blah, 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 or the Pakistani people. I've never seen anything like that. I've seen more, let's free Ukraine and let's help Ukraine stuff. And I'm not bashing Ukraine, but I do notice, because you know what? I'll tell you why. All those other Middle Eastern countries, they were a lot based on oil, petroleum, and natural gases. But here, this is also natural resources of gas, one of the largest deposits of oil and natural gas, and food, food that comes out of there that other countries depend on. Like my friend Cloud Pollard said, Ukraine will not even be able to create crops this year, which will be devastating to the world economy. We don't see it because right now we're in the present moment. But everything catches up. Everything reciprocates in rolls like this. And eventually you get to here, boom. And then you're like, why is my bread $3? I used to pay 50 cents, or the day-old bread. You'll see day-old bread places probably won't even have day-old bread because then people will be buying it. But my point is this: colonization never died. The colonizers will never quit. They will colonize until the day this earth explodes, because they believe that they have to control and they have to keep their constituency. That's the nice word, constituency. Happy, alive, and voting for them, and keeping them in power. But you know what? They don't need us to stay in power. They just create the illusion of power, of us keeping them in power. Because if you really had a grievance, you really had a gripe, they would listen to us. And I don't feel like they listen to us personally. Yeah, they throw us a bone here and there, and they make us look like, oh yeah, look, he helped me. Oh, Congressman, help me. Oh yeah. Sure, tell the world, Lisa. Tell the world how I helped you. Tell the world how I helped the Garcia family get their immigration papers after 30 years. Yeah, tell them. Oh, that congressperson's really nice. Help them. But that's how they do it. They play a horse and pony show, whatever the word I was looking for. But they play this masquerade. Okay, the communists, the capitalist, they all play because they all want their brand on the shelf. And who buys the brand? We do. We buy the brand. We pay for it. We buy it all. All of us do. You think that you have shopping freedoms? No. When you go to the store, they put on the shelf what they want you to buy. Okay? It's really, listen, they can label it and market it however they want. And that's what they say. Oh, look, you have choices. This one has 2%. This one, oh my God, look at this one. And this one is, oh, look at this one. Oh, this one comes from the earth. Where'd this one come from? Outer space? But that's the thing. Oh, look, it's certified. It's organic. Wow. Well, last time I checked, everything was organic that grew out of the ground. But hey, certified. Oh, yeah, well, I got to charge somebody a licensure so they can grow things appropriately. If they're growing it appropriately. Because I think when they do that with poultry farms and slaughterhouses where they have certifications, but who really knows what happens behind closed doors? Who really knows what's going on? But I know one thing, capitalism, imperialism, communism, none of that stuff has ever stopped and never will. And you got to ask yourself, the Russians went into Ukraine like it was nobody's business. Like it didn't matter. Why? Because they knew they could. They knew they could. We weren't going to do anything. You think the United States was going to do something? You think we were going to go there? Stop! Don't go in there! Don't go in there, okay? Don't go. We're going to sanction you. Don't you cross that line. If you go across one of the NATO countries, we will bust you. Waiting. I'm going to tell you. What if Ukraine was part of NATO? Would we have defended them? Since they're not part of NATO. Now, I think now they're registered, but, would we have helped them? Are we afraid of Russia? Do we fear? I'm not saying we need to send our kids to war. But remember the words. Remember words. Everybody talks about how Hitler, if I had the chance to go back in time. I'm repeating myself here. I could go back in time and change things. Would you have changed things? They've done studies on this. Would you have gone back in time? How would you have prevented this war? How would you have prevented this invasion? It's just money grab, man. It's a land grab. It's like, the best example I can give you is it's like Texas leaving the Union, boom. And then Texas is prospering and having a great abundance, but the United States is struggling, because Texas used to be one of their main resources, one of their main ports, one of their main reasons why they were United States. And then all of a sudden, the United States goes, hey, Texas, you need to cooperate with us. And Texas is like, you know what? I'm Texas, man. I'm my own country. I don't need you. I can take care of myself, And so then what happens? And California goes, hey, guess what? I don't need you either, United States. I can take care of myself. And then, how do you exert power? How does a colonizer exert power? A colonizer exerts power by force. Okay, so a colonizer goes, boom, I'm going to go into your country and take it back and make it part of the United States again. I'm going to bring you back, Texas, because you know what? You belong to us. You've always belonged to us, and I never belonged to you because you actually belonged to Mexico. But anyways, my point is this. If you want an example of what Ukraine and Russia are going through, this is the best example I can give you that someone else gave to me. It's like Texas had left the United States for 30 years, and then all of a sudden the United States wants them back, but they don't want to come back. So, of course, Texas is armed, but not nearly as armed as the United States because that's a bigger budget. And the United States says, we're going to send our troops in there, we're going to take you back, and we're going to make you part of the United States again because you know what? You cannot leave because we took care of you and you deserve, and you're not us, and we're you, blah, 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 and it just all gets like this. And this is what happens. They don't want, in the United States, I'm not saying that it was a perfect system, the Soviet Union, because I didn't live there. But according to people who come out of it, say it was terrible. But it was a Soviet Union. It was a unified country of similar cultures and backgrounds and ideologies and beliefs. But then it just collapsed because we had a lot to do with it. We had a lot to do with that, being in there in propaganda machines and wars and different things that we do. And that's what happens. That's what happens. So what you're witnessing today is no different than what happened in 1492. Except back then, it was a different type of armament, different type of system. It was a religious purge, Is this a religious purge? I don't know. But I know it's economic. This is economic. It's always been economic. It will always be economic. The only reason the kings and queens would send their fleets over here, once they found it, they're going to say, hey, there's natural resources here. And that's one of the largest natural resources here was woods and forests. And that's what they wanted. They wanted the woods and the forests. And they actually left hogs and pigs and cows here So they would terraform and recreate, do a little research, Google it, look for it. So some of this stuff, just check it out. I'm only here sharing my thoughts and my feelings about how I'm seeing the world right now. And it's a little frustrating to play off like we think it's just going to blow over. You know, losing life is blowing over is that's just sick. You know, it's one of those things that we just can't allow. So what do you do, Iggy? Everybody's like, so what do you do? What do we do? What do we do? How do we fix it? Fix what? You have to destroy it. There's no fixing. This is about reconstructing and destroying all these systems of these the way we live. I'm not saying create anarchy, but we really need to look at how we treat each other. You know, politicians, you know, the only reason they hate each other and fight each other is because they're from political agendas and political beliefs, and they have to be opposites in order for us to see the opposing, you know, differences between, you know, philosophies. And then when we go, okay, I'm going to be that way, but yet part of you is over here and part of you is over here, but you can never find the middle ground because we don't play the middle ground. We're absolutes. You know, you're either Democrat or Republican. Democrat or Republican. Let's vote Democrat or Republican. That's why the little middle parties, these little parties in the middle, never get any traction because we stifle them. These parties out here stifle them and make them look weak and vulnerable and like you're wasting your vote, wasting your time. You know, a vote is a vote, period. It doesn't mean you waste it when you don't use it. If you vote for a middle party, you know, a secondary party, that's your choice as an American. But you're giving a vote to listen, that's not how democracy works. I'm not giving my vote to that person or that person. I'm giving my vote to that person. Win or lose, they got my vote. This illusion that we create and we bullshit ourselves that, oh, if we vote so this guy, then Trump's going to win. Or if we're going to vote, then Biden's going to win. You have to vote. No. See, that's the crap they sell us. That's the spin doctors spinning stuff. If you want to vote green, you want to vote black, you want to vote purple, then vote it. And the only way we can move through this is vote, especially in political agendas in your local communities. Those votes matter. Those votes count. I know because I ran for office. Those votes matter. You want to see changes? Then you vote for your political leaders. And listen, demand better candidates. We don't demand better candidates. That's the problem. We don't demand things from our party. We always get the same crop of people coming through because it's a club. It's the party. That's why it's called a party. It's a club. You want a better candidate? Maybe you need to stop in there. Maybe you need to jump in there. Maybe you need to get in politics. Maybe you need to say, hey, you know, who's this clown? You know, oh, well, he's our candidate. You know, who's this person? Well, he's our candidate. Where'd you find him? But no, see, this is how it works. You go in there, they look at each other. Who wants to run? Who wants to run? Who wants to run? You know, it's a party. Listen, when I was in there, they joked me around like they wanted me out. They didn't want anybody like me in there. They found ways to push me out. And I'm kind of glad I got out, but the point is this. It's who you know. It's who you know. It's all the buddy. Old buddy. Hey, buddy. How you doing, buddy? Hey, can you help me, buddy? Sure, buddy. What would you like, buddy? I need a thick, buddy. Okay, buddy. That's the problem. And this isn't just in America. This is everywhere in the world. This is all over. This is not an isolated incident. This isn't just isolated politics. But how do we change that? By us being vocal, us talking like this, sharing our thoughts. If you don't think they're watching this, they are. They're watching it. Do they care? Probably not. But they are watching it. So they can get a feel and engage on what's going on in the community, what's happening with people, what are they thinking about? What's the thought? What's the flavor of the day? Oh, he hasn't been on very long. I wonder what's going on. I wonder what's happening. Usually he's very vocal. Usually he's sharing his thoughts and his feelings and emotions. Yeah, my emotions and my feelings are the colonization. The colonizers are still here and they're still colonizing and they're still going to take what they can. And they will never stop taking what they can because they want to make sure that their generations and their offspring and their people survive. Who's else to colonize? You know, if it really gets nasty and deep down and dirty, who knows what happens? But we're watching historically right now a superpower invading a country that can no way defend itself in the capacity. And we're watching humanity, okay? We're watching humanity sit by and watch the destruction of innocent people in their home because we're too afraid to cause a huger calamity, number one. Number two, we're afraid that we may look bad. Number three is, you know what? Which is the right side to be on? I'll be honest with you. They probably don't even know what side to be on, you know? So, from my vantage point, Russia looks pretty evil, looks pretty bad. Putin looks pretty bad. Makes all the Russian people look pretty bad. It makes Russia look bad. Is Russia bad? I don't know. Its people may not be bad, but its political system is doing some things that, I would never thought would ever happen again in my lifetime. And here we are. But you know what? I said that too, and I was on that bandwagon too. Yeah, let's bomb, let's get Iraq and those terrorists and blah blah. They killed 9 people on 9/11. I was on that board. I was like that. Let's do it. Let's go. Let's jack them up. Why? Because it's propaganda. It's the things that they push in our head. We should feel sorry. They attacked America. But America, all the things that we've done to other countries and we've hurt other people in the way we've done. Listen, never forget your history. Never, ever, ever forget your history. The Moors controlled Europe for almost 700 years, 500 to 700 years. Who are the Moors? The blacks. That's a long time. Put that in your mind. Think about how old this country is, 200 and some years old. Add another 200 some years. That's a lot of time. It's a lot of influence. So when we talk about slavery and different things like that, we've all been slaves at one time or another. Our ancestors. There's not one, I don't believe one culture on this planet that's never been, have been enslaved by somebody at some point or another. The indigenous people of this country, they were enslaved. They were killed. They were massacred. They were eaten because they were different. So we have to be very careful when we become aligned politically into certain agendas about, why we feel the way we do. We should feel the way we do and understand that, it can be done to us anytime again. We can become slaves again. We can become disempowered again. If you think we're empowered, then prove it to me. Show it to me how we're empowered. Show it to me, because if this is empowerment for me to be able to speak, okay, then that's a valid point. When my government interferes with my freedom of speech, then that's a problem. And when my government doesn't like things to be said because, I don't want you to know, and that I'm a rebel rouser, that's a problem. But there comes a time where you have to speak up. You have to be like that guy in that picture when Hitler, everybody has their arms up like this, and there's only one guy standing there. Now, the illusion is created that this guy wasn't on board with Hitler, and you know what? If you're a really thinking human, two things. Either that guy was against Hitler, or that guy didn't, his arms were wooden, or that guy just couldn't lift his arms. We don't know. But we create a picture and imagery of this thing, of this man who didn't raise his hand, doing the salute, And from just that image, we can create a lot of power. And just like this is what I'm trying to get at. When we create, and when we're trying to save and help humanity, we can create images like that. And we need to do that and keep doing that. And I know there's a lot of good people out there fighting the good fight, marching the marches and doing all the things they do, and that's good. But there's got to be more. And I'm not saying to be bad or evil or destructive, but there's got to be more. How is more? Is voting your jackasses out of office who don't serve us anymore. These are the same people who we've had for quite some time, since the 60s, some of the 60s and 70s. If you're happy with them, keep voting for them, But my point is, this is why we are where we're at, because we still have the same group, same agenda, same power structure that never changes. It's a machine, and they just add a new player to it. And if the player doesn't fit the cookie cutter mold, that player is moved out very quickly, very fast. That's why you don't see a lot of change in politics. That's why you always see America very stagnant and very staunch in the way they do their policies. Most of these policies are all very similar. They're just by different people. You know, when you have Republicans in, you have expectations in what's going to happen. When you have Democrats in, you have expectations in what's going to happen. It's predictable. That's the sad part, that it's predictable. That's the part that I'm talking about. That's the part that we aren't looking at. That everything that we do is predictable. Our politics is very predictable. You know? So what are we going to do? What do we do when Taiwan says, hey, we need your help? Are we help them? Can they help themselves? What happens when Poland gets a bomb shot at it, or a tank rolls in there, or garrison of tanks from Russia rolling there? Are we going to say, well, they are NATO, but we don't want to cause a World War III? Where's the line? We're here, friends. This is what I'm trying to get at. We're here. This is real. This is not a video game. This is not a movie. This is not one of those things that we just push the reset button. We're here. Man has come to the breaking point of destruction. Man has come, and woman, because there's women involved in politics too. But humanity has come to the point that natural resources are more valuable than the human resource that people are. That's where we're at. That we are willing to destroy it all. I mean, this is so stupid. We're so willing to destroy it all that we're trying to take it all, that we're willing to destroy it all so you can't have it. Because you're different, I'm different. And this is what Russians do. This is what Americans do. This is what Ukrainians do. This is what Polish do. This is what Peruvians do. But this is what happens. If a country can take it, they will. You know, when the Spanish could take it, when the Spanish came here and they took things, they took it. And then when the Europeans of the English descent came here, they took it. And they took it and they pushed it out and they pushed it and it's still here. And this is why we're here. This is why America is how America is, because of the genocide, because of the imperialism, because of the invasions, because of the natural resources, which was land, power, money. Here we are. Today, just look around. Ask yourself, how are you being controlled every day? How are you being manipulated by the system? What is it that you can't be without or do without? It's a pretty simple question. But for a lot of us, we struggle because a lot of these things that we consider conveniences are also things that bring us a lot of joy and peace. And sometimes watching our TV and watching our Netflix allows us to escape the realities of life for a moment. And I'm not here to poo-poo it, because you know what? I watch TV sometimes and watch Netflix from time to time. You know, I sit here with my friends and we watch Skyhead TV and stuff, because sometimes we need that distraction from the real world. So as humans, how are we going to fix and help this world? Yeah, we talk about global warming and stuff. I haven't even got into that because I really don't want to talk about that, because you know what? The only people who are screwed there is us, period. You know, because of the way we take care of the earth. And all this affects that. The Mother Earth, she recalibrates. She's fine. It's our survival that gets caught up in the windstorm of that. And if we're supposed to become extinct, then we become extinct. The dinosaurs had their day, quite longer than we probably will. My point is this: humans have to find a way, not necessarily like each other to 100%, because that's unrealistic. We just don't like everybody. because we don't like ourselves at times. So how can you like everybody if you can't even tolerate yourself at times? So that's my point. Humans are very aggressive. Humans are very compassionate. Humans are very resourceful, very smart, but yet we don't use it to our capacity into the places we need to. So if you want to make a change in this world, blah, 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 you have to be the change. And how's that change happen? Exponentially, 1 minute at a time, 1 moment at a time. Sharing your thoughts, your beliefs. And most people don't want to talk politics. I don't want to talk politics. I don't want to talk. You know what? You don't have to talk politics. You're going to live politics. You're going to live it. Because you're going to go to the gas station. You're going to pay $6 a gallon. So you're living politics. You don't have to talk about it. You're living it. Oh, the taxes in your houses went up? Oh, I'm sorry. You're living it. Why? Because they make up some excuse that they have to charge you more now because of the war, because there's lack of petroleum, there's lack of... See, they spin everything and they make everything look good. Oh, wow, the cost of food has gone up. Household of 3. I went to the store and I spent more than I ever spent on almost the same things that I bought the most of the time. Politics. That's politics right there. I don't want to talk about politics, but I'm living politics. I'm living it. It's in my life. It's in your life. You can't get around it. As much as you don't want to talk about it, you don't talk to me about it, blah, blah, blah. You want to ignore it. You can ignore it all you want. It's right there. You know, it's right there. Everything will be affected. Your speeding ticket, if you get one. You know, the soda you want to buy, your cigarettes. You know, there's a lot of us on this planet. There's a lot of us who will never, ever have to experience what these people are experiencing. And there are a lot of us who have experienced that and know how ugly that is and how painful that is and how traumatic that is and what that does to the human spirit and the human soul. You know? And there used to be all saying, why can't we just all get along? Because it's too easy. It's too easy. Well, I don't want to get along, you know. I want to be able to speak my mind and be free and open to share how I feel about things. That's granted, that's fair. But I don't think we need to be bombing and going into another country where we could have negotiated and talked something out, but we didn't because we were frustrated and angry because supposedly you belonged to us before and now we want you back. So it's a hard breakup, and now it's like you're trying to, the girl you broke up with, you're like forcing her to come back here and you're raping and pillaging her, taking advantage of her. That's what you're seeing over there. And you know, all the crap that you hear, of course, some of these things are one side of my belief that, you know, the Ukrainians are Nazis and that the Ukrainians are this. I heard that. I was like, it was interesting. And then I go, wow, you know what? You seem to be acting more like the invaders and the Nazis and stuff. You don't look like liberators to me. You know, you don't look like you're liberating anybody. You look like you're here to pound it up and make an example of a country that was becoming strong, and probably some corruption in there, like every country and every segment of every part of the world has corruption. And then the United States knew this was all coming down the line, but they didn't believe it. The intel, this is my personal belief. I don't believe they thought that was ever going to happen, that the Russia had the balls to do that, that Russia was even going to do that. You know, maybe they would have done it with Trump, who knows? But they did it with Biden because I personally believe, this is my personal opinion, you can believe whatever you want, they see him as a weak president. They see him as a frailing old man. And, you know, there's a lot of you who won't say it, but you see him as a frailing old man, a weak president. Maybe he's done some good, maybe he hasn't. I don't know, depending on what his agendas are for people. But I know that they see us weak. They not necessarily the American people, but Russia sees our administration weak. This is my personal belief. And this is why they are able to do what they do, because they don't feel that we have the cojones to stand up to Russia and say, hey, you know what? You can't do this. Or it's just very bad intel by our intelligence services not to have Ukraine prepared for something that would have happened. Now, the question is, are we helping other countries prepare, creating strong borders so this doesn't happen? See, these are the things that we don't know. I don't understand when we have generational intelligence generations. And I hope you're listening. I hope you're listening to my ideas and thoughts, because my dad worked for the CIA. And I understand why my dad survived a lot of things he did. But I'm going to tell you, you need to be a little more creative. You need to change some things up. You need to really think about how if you're going to be the intelligence agency of anything, you're not really doing a good job. When you're letting down the people of the world, you're letting down our government. And the intel, the information that you're relaying back isn't accurate and it's not precise. It's because other countries have intel too, my friend. Other countries have information that they give you bogusly, so it throws you off. And if you think you're going to make friends just because, and the guys that you pick and the women that you pick sometimes, you can pick them off. You can see who they are from a mile away. And that's, you play right into their hands. You're not very creative. It's a cat and mouse game. But colonization, my friends, has never stopped, never will, never ended. They're still colonizing. They want to colonize the Ukrainians. They want to take it over, bring it back into the fold of the mother Russia. This is where you belong. You belong here. But you know what? In America, we'll just sit and watch it happen, because America won't do anything about it. The America I grew up with was different. Yeah, it was a little bit rough and it was a little bit questionable, but I really doubt they would have allowed that to happen. The leadership today is bad, no good, muy malo, no bueno. They don't even know what they're doing. They can't make up their mind, But either way, it's what we have, and we might as well get used to it. It ain't getting any better. I mean, when you think about it, there's really nobody else to pick from and choose from, because they all pull from the same pool, same people. Good luck with that. So when you have two clubs and they're going to put their guy in or that gal in, you don't have much to choose from. All you got to do is look down the line on the senatorial side, mayoral side, the governorship side, the Senate, Senate, Congress. Those are all your leaders. Any of those people potentially could be president or want to be president. This is what you have to decide for the future of your country. Who's going to best represent you? Because you know what? Congress and Senate right now, it's been the same groups, same groupies. Here's the cool thing. And if the guy that you picked doesn't work out, he goes off and doesn't work out, that other guy can come back and win again. So, there's no loss. It's like, it happens all the time. All right, guys. I think I've said enough. It's the mind of Iggy, thinking about things. Sometimes he's right, sometimes he's not. The point is he's just thinking, and he's processing that brain, making sure that it's not going to go stagnant, and just buy into all the crap that is told to us and shared to us. Because if you believe everything that comes out of the blue tube or the internet or wherever it comes from, you're kidding yourself, man. You're kidding yourself. You have to be an advocate. You have to study. You have to learn. You have to read. You have to listen. You have to decipher. You have to come up to your beliefs, and you have to listen. And you have to listen, because if you listen, you learn. If you listen, you will learn what the other person's telling you. But if you only want to share your side and your own point of view, you're never going to learn. You're never going to get it. You're never going to figure it out. You're only going to have your lame side opinion about what it is and all the people that agree with you. That's it. The middle's a good place to be, because you can watch both things develop. And then you can decide if you want to lean left or right or stay in the middle. But the point is to be open-minded in politics, to be open-minded in what you're seeing, and not to be just a bandwagoner and jump on things because everybody else is jumping on it. And you're paying $4 a gallon of gas because you don't say anything, because you're not in the process. You believe you're in the process because you vocalize and you share it. And we should be so fortunate to pay $4 a gallon of gas. Oh my God, because other people in the world are suffering. You know what? There are people in this country who are suffering too. And they're suffering mightily because of the actions of our politicians and the colonizations that went on in this world, that are going on in the world right now. So if you don't want to pay $4 a gallon, it's too late. We're going to be paying for it. So we're about $3.63. Oh wow, I should be excited. But that's the point. They spiral us up, they lock us down, and then they put us on a price gouge, and then they lock us in. So by the time I die one day, I bet gas will be $10 a gallon. Pretty simple, pretty easy. And and everybody's gonna say, I remember when gas was $2. I'll say I remember when gas was a dime and a quarter. When it was 25 cents, 50 cents. I remember when I was a kid. That tells you how far we've come. But this is kind of how it is. They feed you crap, and you got to decide what crap or no crap you want in here, or in here, in your heart. That's your job. My job is not to buy into the crap that people tell me that I should be fortunate and lucky that I'm only paying $4 a gallon because other people in the world are, you know what? Listen, I live in one of the richest countries in the world where I have the abilities to do or do nothing and still be taken care of. But I choose to do something because I don't want to be taken care of, because I want to be able to at least have someone in my destiny I can walk and be proud of. So here we are. We're at crossroads, friends. We're at crossroads. Which road will you take? Which road will you go? And God bless us all, those who believe in God. I believe in God. I believe in a higher source, a higher power. And that higher power looks down on us going, oh my God, what did I do? No, I'm just joking. The higher power is just going, you have free will. You have the choices to make the decisions that you're going to make. Is that a cop-out? No. It's a design flaw. But a good flaw. Because in the end, we have to decide what's best for our lives. If we had a being that said, hey, you're going to live how I tell you, and this is what you're going to do, and this is how you're going to be, then that's not really free will. I have to think about that one. Free will should be able to make my decision if I need to honor and love anything or anyone, and honor and care for myself. All right. I'm out, guys. I'm going to be out of here. So I hope you enjoyed my time with me here on The Mind of Iggy. Share a little bit how my radio show sometime this weekend or next weekend. And we'll be on podcast. You'll watch that wherever podcasts are free. So IggyGarcia.com. Ho'oponopono mataku yasu. What is above is below. It's good to be here. Enjoy the rest of your day. Enjoy your weekend. Talk to you soon. Peace and love. I'll see you soon. Bye, everybody.